All right, so we'll be starting right away. And today we are looking at part 15 of Stop Worrying and Start Living. And this will be part 3 of Mastering Happiness. Mastering Happiness. We're in a world that is full of challenges, issues of life here and there. And if we don't learn how to live in this world, then it will become very, very tough and difficult for us to be able to really and truly live a happy life. We'll find it difficult to be able to really and truly live a happy life. It's a big challenge for people in our world today. And the reason is because we have not learned how to live. Because we have not learned how to live. Learning how to live is a skill. If we don't learn how to manage our emotions, we are either living in fear of the future or living in worry about what has happened in the past. Stop worrying and start living. Stop worrying and start living. We've been on this for a while now, and for me, it's been a very interesting session. Interesting in the sense that even the research itself is an eye-opener for me. The fact that as human beings, we can find ourselves in this kind of situation is amazing. And it's mainly because we have not learned how to live our lives. We have not learned how to live our life. There is a way to live a meaningful and impactful life on earth. There's a way to live. So I start with these scriptures I read every time. Number 1, for though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh. For the weapon of our warfare are not carnal, they are mighty through God to the pulling down of stronghold, casting down imagination. And that the stronghold there is in our mind. And that we can cast down that imagination, casting down imagination and every item that exalts itself against the knowledge of God, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ, casting down imagination. Casting down imagination. And every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God. So we have imagination in our mind that make us to be worried and to be full of anxiety, because it creates fear. And one thing we must learn as human beings is that whenever any thought comes to you that creates fear, the way to judge this is this. Number 1, God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and of sound mind. Number 1. He has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and of sound mind. So that means when fear comes, it must be from the devil. When fear comes, it must be from the devil. And the devil Christ described as a liar, as the father of liars. He's a father of liars. So Christ described him as liar and father of liar. What does father of liar is? Father of liar means the originator and creator of liar. If fear is not of God, because he has not given us the spirit of fear, but fear is of the devil, if fear is not of God, because he has not given us the spirit of fear, and fear is of the devil, and the devil is the father of liar, the implication of that is that that thought that is creating fear is a lie. Number one, our biggest challenge as human is the fact that our memory of what has happened in the past and imagination of the future creating fear, worry, and anxiety. Now, if a thought comes to you, any thought, I don't care, it doesn't matter what kind of thought is it. But that thing creates fear. That fear factor in that thing is a sign that it's not of God. In fact, if you look at the scripture, you realize that when an angel comes to deliver a message and the person is fearful, he will leave the message and first of all, let the person calm down, cool down, and ensure the person is devoid of fear. You know why? He has not given us the spirit of fear, but of love, of power, and of sound mind. That's the spirit he has given us. Most of the fear we learn as individuals, we learn it from the society, we learn it from experience, we learn it from education, we learn it from environment, church environment, school environment. And this has made us to have the wrong kind of memory, so that when we see a sign, we begin to think about it in a particular way. So he has not given us spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and of sound mind. So if fear is not of God, automatically it's of the devil. But the devil is a liar, is a father of liars. So that thought that is creating fear is of the devil. And because it's of the devil, it's a lie. So that thing that is creating fear is not real. It's not real. He has not given you the spirit of fear, of power, of love, and of sound mind. Now, if you look at these thoughts, you will realize that he said, casting down imagination. That is the thought creating the fear. That is the thought creating the fear. He said they must be brought to the obedience of Christ. What has the scripture, the Christ or God, the Holy Spirit said about that imagination? That imagination is creating fear. That imagination is exalting itself against the knowledge of God. What is the knowledge of God? What is the revelation of God about that situation? That situation, that is exalting itself against the knowledge of God. And because it's exalting itself against the knowledge of God, the way to handle it is to remind yourself the scripture that counter it, so you can bring it in subjection to the obedience of Christ. We must make conscious and deliberate effort as human beings to ensure that we are conscious of what we think about, whatsoever things are true. What should you think about? Whatsoever things are honest. What should you think about? Whatsoever things are just. What should you think about? Whatsoever things are true. What should you think about? Whatsoever things are lovely. What do you think about? Whatsoever things are pure. What do you think about? Whatsoever things are of good report. What should you think about? Whatsoever things are virtuous. What should you think about? Whatsoever things are praiseworthy. He said, think on these things. So you must monitor what goes on in your mind to ensure you think the right thought. You must monitor what goes on in your mind to ensure you think the right thought. For that to happen, guard your heart with all diligence, for out of it is the issue of life. Another translation says, be mindful of what you think, because your thoughts control your life. Be mindful of what you think, because your thoughts control your life. Remember, he has not given you the spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and of a sound mind. And of a sound mind. So today we are discussing understanding mastering happiness or understanding self-management. Mastering happiness or understanding self-management. Mastering happiness or understanding self-management. Come to think of it, we apply the word management only for our business. We apply the word management only for our business. But we do not look at it in terms of the area of our lives. We do not look at it in terms of the area of our lives. If you don't know how to manage your body, your mind, your emotion, your home, your community, then you are a bad manager, even if you manage a business very well. A person that has not been able to manage his emotion, his body, his mind, his home, but he manages a business well, is a bad manager. We talk about management in terms of economic situation. We talk about management in terms of economic situation. Moses, can you drop the question in the chat? We normally talk at the end of the program. If you can drop the question in the chat, I can address it while I go on. But if you want to speak, we'll probably hold on till we finish. But you can drop the question in the chat if you need me to address it. I can see your hand. Thank you. Now, like I was saying, if we talk about management in terms of economic situation and not life as a whole, then that's not a good way to talk in terms of management. When the only thing we think about managing in life is economic, in terms of making money, that is what makes us unhappy in so many ways, because we have not learned to manage ourselves. We even sometimes learn to manage others, but ourselves. Did you know that there are some things very tragic in this life that is resulting in lack of self-management? That is, those who have failed in their life are suffering their future, and those who have succeeded in their life are suffering for their success. Those who have failed in their life are suffering from their failure, and those who have succeeded are suffering from their success. Is it not interesting in this life? Someone has failed, is suffering because of his failure. Even those that succeed are suffering because of their success. You know why? They are unable, they can manage business, they can manage themselves, they can manage their body, they can manage their appetite, they can manage their emotion, they can manage their home, they can manage their community, but can only manage business. What kind of management is that? You can manage everything by yourself. If you suffer from the failure, from your failure, that is okay, because failure comes with its stress. And failure comes very easy. But if you are suffering from your success, that is a great tragedy, because the success did not come very easy. So why will you be suffering from success? Because we have not learned to manage ourselves and our emotion. It's a great tragedy that people are suffering from their success. They are working in a fantastic place, but they are not happy. They are suffering from, they are making so much money, but they are not happy. They even have hypertension, different disease and sickness in their body. Why? Because they have not learned to manage themselves. They have learned to manage the business and make money, but they can't manage their emotions. They can't manage their home. They can't manage their life. Why do you think a professional will divorce? He can't manage his home. He can't manage his home. He can't manage his home. Why do you think a professional will have, for example, diabetics, things he can avoid? He can't manage his appetite. Taking sugar. He can't manage his appetite, but he's managing a business. What kind of management is that? What kind of management is that? Suffering from your success is a great tragedy because success does not come easy. So it shouldn't be creating stress. But in the life of many, it's creating stress. Many people are not happy on their job. So something that you work for and long for and desire so much, and you work for it, if you are suffering from that kind of thing, after achieving it, that's a tragic situation. But a large number of people on this planet are suffering from their own success. A vast number of people on this our planet are suffering from their own success. The challenge they have in their life today is because they are successful. They can afford anything, so they eat anything. They can afford everything, so they eat everything. Ask yourself, if you plot the graph of your happiness from when you were young and unconscious of so many things around you, and continue till now that you're old, is the graph of your happiness going upward or downward? You know what I discovered? The graph of happiness is at the peak when the child is very young, age 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. By the time you begin to enter 9, 10, 11, when you become a teenager, you begin to know that he played 2 at 8, 9, 10, 11. By 13, you begin to nosedive. You begin to nosedive. Happiness begins to nosedive. Because someone will tell you in school that you have failed. Someone tell you in school that you have failed. And the happiness begins to nosedive. Happiness begins to nosedive. For many, it is downward. And it is tragedy because when you should be happier, the happiness is declining because of lack of self-management. The reason why the happiness declines when people become teenagers and become young adults is because they've not learned to manage their life. But when they were young, there's nothing to worry about. You're hungry, you tell your parents, they give you food. Anything you need, you tell someone, they'll give you. So there's nothing to worry about. But as you grow older, that you're freer, even those that are very comfortable are unhappy. The reason is because of lack of self-management, because we are bad managers of ourselves. It is not interesting that all you did in your life, is it not interesting rather that all you did in your life is pursuit of happiness? But now you are still not happy, even though you have achieved some great stuff in life. You are well educated, married, having kids, have a great job, have your own house, comfortable, but you're not happy. I thought those things were in pursuit of happiness. Even though that bear happiness are not happy. You know, the people that bear happiness, their name is happiness. But they're not happy. even though they are called happiness. Anybody who is unable to manage his own life, his own body, his own emotion, his own energy, even if he's able to manage external situations like business, like people, let me tell you, the life of that person will only be an accident. It's a matter of time. And whatever is managing on the outside is by accident. This is because if you have not learned to manage your life, how then are you able to manage business? It must be a fluke. When you manage situation by accident, then you exist as an accident. And if you exist as an accident, that will be, you will become a potential calamity. Can you see the reason why many people are not happy? Many people are existing by accident. So happenstance control their life. So they are a potential calamity. If you exist as a potential calamity, being anxious, being worried, full of anxiety, full of depression, will be a natural part of your life. Why? Because you are not in control. You are not able to manage your emotion. We need to get to a point in our life that no matter the situation, it doesn't affect your mood. How do you become happy? There are hormones called hormone of happiness, serotonin, dopamine, oxytocin. These are hormones of happiness. Hormone of stress, depression, fear, adrenaline, cortisol. Cortisol in particular is, and these two hormones depress your immune system. So what really is happening when your mood is changing from happy, excited to depressed, unhappy? It's just hormone being released because of your thought. Your thought triggered the release of that hormone. If you are unable to manage your thought, that's why I keep reading this scripture whenever we start this program since the first episode. Even though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh. The weapon of our warfare are not carnal, they are mighty through God to the pulling down of stronghold, casting down imagination. You see, the stronghold is a stronghold of imagination, not someone in the village, not someone in the village. Paul is the one speaking. The stronghold of imagination, casting down imagination, and everything that exalts itself against the knowledge of God. Against the knowledge of God, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ. This is why today there is discussion of stress management. Can you imagine? People are managing stress. Why? Because the life is stressful. The life is stress. So there are people who specialize in stress. In fact, the organization, they train them on how to manage stress on the job. Stress management. So managing stress is a norm in our society. You know why it's normal in our society? Because people are living by accident. Their life is in chaos and full of stress. The reason why this is now common is that it is believed that anything you do or try to achieve in life or in the world will be stressful. The stress in your life is not about what you do, but rather because we are bad manager of ourselves, of our mind, of our emotion. That is what is creating stress. The fact that we are bad manager of our emotion, of our mind, that is what is creating stress. It's not the situation that is creating stress. It's the way I think about the situation. It's my response or reaction to the situation. that is creating stress. And the reason for stress is because look at the greatest cause of stress in our life. When we set expectations and we are unable to meet it. In fact, someone said, the level of stress in your life is directly proportional to the gap between your reality and your expectation in a particular area of your life. The gap between your reality and your expectation in a particular area of your life. He said the major cause of stress is directly proportional to the gap between reality of your life and expectation. So I expect this to happen, but this is really what happened. I expect this to happen, but in reality, this is really what happened. That is what creates stress. That is what creates stress. That is what is creating the stress. Do you therefore want to reduce the stress? Do you therefore want to reduce the stress? Reduce the gap. Reduce your expectation. Why should you reduce your expectation? You are not in control of situations and circumstances around you and in your life. You are not in control. And because you are not in control, that is what is creating stress. That is what is creating stress. Always remember, you will not be in control of situations and circumstances. Leave that to God to handle. But you're in control of the way you think and feel about it. You're in control of the way you think and feel about it. That's why two people can face the same situation and the reality of their response will be different. Two people facing the same situation, but the reality of their responses are different. Why? Because of the way they process the information from that particular situation or circumstances. The nature of your job is not what makes you to be stressed, but rather it is your inability to manage your body, your energy. Inability to manage your body, your energy. That's what's creating stress. You're unable to manage the thoughts that come to your mind. You're unable to manage it. That's what's creating stress. That's what's creating stress. Management fundamentally means that you want to determine the course of events, either in your life or in business. That is management. The goal of management is for you to determine the course of events. It means you don't want to live by default, but by design. Some people are living by default, not by design. It's unwise to be living by default, not by design. You should be living by design, not by default. But unfortunately, for many people in our world, they live by default, not by design. They are not the one in charge of their life. Circumstances and situation controls their life. So management means you want to determine the course of event. You don't want to live by default again, you want to live by design. If you manage by accident, you will not be a good manager, because without you, things are going to run. Because you manage by accident, not with a deliberate strategy and plan. If you are given a job to manage people, that means you have to manage their minds. How do you manage their mind if you cannot manage your own mind? This is why some bosses have been a source of mystery for their subordinates, while some other people has been a source of inspiration. Some bosses have destroyed many lives. They will destroy life because, how do you give someone who cannot manage his life to manage people? He will destroy the people. He can't inspire them because himself is not inspired. It's only he that is well that can donate blood. You can't give what you don't have. It's only he that is well that can donate blood. You can't give what you don't have. It's only he that is well that can donate blood. You cannot give what you don't have. It is so sad, extremely sad. It is so sad, extremely sad, how some bosses has ruined the life of their subordinate. They've made some of their subordinates to lose their self-esteem completely because of the way they talk to them. They talk to them like they are not non-entity, nobody, they won't amount to anything. They talk so much down on them that some of those people have lost it completely. They don't even believe in themselves again. Why? Because someone said it. Be mindful of what you say. Be mindful of what you say. Be mindful of what you say about people.
Recording in
say about people. It's so important. So the people working with such a person are not rising to their full potential or competence or love or joy and peace, but rather they become worse off. In fact, they take after that boss, and those kind of people go and oppress. When they become boss, also oppress people they are leading, because they don't know any better how to live or lead. They don't know any better how to live or lead. They don't know any better. In fact, if this does not happen in an organization, if this does happen in an organization, that is bad management. The goal of management is well-being of the human being. If this is not happening, that means the cost of managing a business, in the course of managing a business, you are destroying human beings in that organization. When you are a child, your body was very small. But now you are very big. How did this happen? It was because you ate food. So your body is a heap of food that you have gathered over the years. Remember, the food is from the earth. What you call food is a piece of the earth. What you call food is a bit of the earth. The piece of the earth we gather through planting. It's what becomes food that you have eaten over a long period of time. So that means we are just a piece of earth. How about the mind? Your mind is a piece of impression of information that you have gathered over the years. Your memory is a piece of information you have gathered over the years. Just as there is management of science for external being, there is also management of science for internal well-being. People just believe by doing one thing, every other thing will be okay. So they think they will be happy ever after by getting a degree. They get a degree, they are not happy. They think they will be happy ever after by getting a job. They get a job, they are not happy. They think they will be happy by getting a wife, getting married. They get a wife, they are not happy. They think they will be happy by getting a child. They get a child, they are not happy. They feel they will be happy by getting a house. They get a house, they are not happy. Why? Because your happiness is from within. That is why the concept of pursuit of happiness is faulty, because it presumes that happiness is far from you and is outside of you. You presume that happiness is outside of you and far from you. That is why we say we are pursuing happiness. Why should you pursue happiness? The Bible says that goodness and mercy shall follow you. Why are you pursuing happiness? Rather than position for it by the way you reason, the way you think, and the way you use your mind. Remember? Remember. Your humanity really begin to kick in when you are not taking care of survival, but you are thinking of significance by being a blessing to your world. Although we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh. The weapon of our warfare are not carnal, but they are mighty through God to the pulling down of stronghold. Casting down imagination. Remember where I started today? That look, when you are afraid, always remember, He has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and of sound mind. He has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and of sound mind. So when anything creates fear, always remember, the fear is of the devil, it's not of God. Number one. Who is now the devil? What's the character of the devil? The devil is the father of liar. Father of liar. He's the origin and source of liar. That means it can never tell the truth. If fear is not from God and it's from the devil is the father of liar, see that thing that's making you afraid? It's a lie. That's why someone said, fear is false expression appearing real. And your mind does not know the difference between reality and thought. That is why you have to be mindful of what you think about. What should you think about? Whatsoever things are true. What should you think about? Whatsoever things are honest. What should you think about? Whatsoever things are just. What should you think about? Whatsoever things are lovely. What should you think about? Whatsoever things are virtuous. What should you think about? Whatsoever things are pure. What should you think about? Whatever things are of good report. What should you think about? Whatever things are praiseworthy. What should you think about? Whatever things are virtuous. Be mindful of what you think about and how you think. Be mindful of what you think about and how you think. Remember, guard your heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issue of life. And also remember that the major reason why people are not happy is because they've not learned to manage themselves. They have been able to manage business, but they can't manage themselves. They can't manage their energy. They can't manage their mind. They can't manage their body. They can't manage their emotion. So they pursue success. The success creates sadness. How do you explain it? People that are failure in life are not happy. Even some people that are successful are not happy. Why? It's like using your own hand to create your own misery. Because the person is only learning to make money and manage money, where he's not learning on how to manage his mind, manage his emotion, manage his thought, manage the release of the chemical substances, stimulating, causing fear, the cortisol, the adrenaline. Is unable to stimulate the release of happiness hormone, the oxytocin, the dopamine, and serotonin. He's unable to do it. And he's a manager in a big organization. And he's going to manage people. Of course, he's going to damage the people because he can't even manage himself. As I close, remember that those who are failing in life are suffering, and those who are successful are suffering. The person have worked for so long to achieve the desired goal or desire whatever, but he's not happy. How do you explain that? How do you explain that? Anybody that's not able to manage his life, his body, his emotion, his energy, will be living by accident. Remember, we mentioned that. And for someone living by accident, is definitely living by default, not by design. How can you expect someone living by default, not by design, to be happy? He cannot be happy because he doesn't have control over his emotion. And remember that stress in our life is directly proportional to the gap between expectation and reality. In fact, setting goal is good. Setting goal is one of the ways to minimize the challenge of depression. But you don't set goal to achieve the goal. No. If you achieve it, that's good. Work towards it. But don't be desperate to achieve it. If you don't achieve it, be more happy with the process you go through. It's like entrepreneurship. The process you go through in entrepreneurship is more important than the money you make. The love to solve problems for mankind, the patience to grow through the challenges, the perseverance to overcome the failure. The diligence to do the work is much more important. What you become, the improvement in your life in entrepreneurship is more important than what you make. Because you are really entrepreneur and you're able to pull through, you become a better person if you really manage it very well. Because it's going to stress you and pull out some things that are inside. The stress will be strong. However, even though the stress is strong and much, it makes you a better person. So you are actually better off in entrepreneurship. So you need to set goals, is good. But if you don't achieve the goal, no problem. Ask yourself, what have I become by virtue of this? You know, the reason why students cheat in school is because they think the goal of going to school is to get certificate. Big lie. Big lie. The goal of going to school is not to get certificate. The goal of going to school is not to get certificate. The goal of going to school is to become transformed. You know why? The goal of knowledge is transformation. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. The goal of knowledge is transformation. So when someone cheats, that means he doesn't understand that what you go through as a student, reading, learning, the mind is being influenced. The brain is expanding. The stress of reading, of learning, of going to class, that discipline is more important than the certificate. So when a student cheats on campus, it's because they deceive us. That's why many people have the certificate, put them on the job. They can't endure stress. They can't endure challenges. They can't walk through the night because they didn't read through the night on campus. The campus was a preparatory ground. It was a preparatory ground. A preparatory ground. As I close, remember, guard your heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. All right, thank you. Moses, you were trying to raise up your hand. What was the question you asked? Other people have a network issue. Okay, Moses, you can unmute yourself now. Hello, Moses. You were raising up your hand along the line. I thought you had a question. Okay, Kike, good evening. Hello, Kike, are you there? Good evening. Okay, I guess you guys are busy. All right, thank you very much for being able to make it tonight. See you next week as we round off this particular session. Next week, I'll be going through all the just summary of what we've discussed as far as starting and managing, stop worrying and start living is concerned. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful evening. Bye-bye.